I am going to open that. Now, fine. So once you know that I'm going to talk about this Internet of Things, so how I am going to take this, 2 hour session. So basically, I have divided this. Just a second. Yeah. So what I have done, I have divided this particular session into 2 parts. First part, I am going to talk about the concept, techniques, reference models for those people who are not aware of IoT at all, and basic terminologies and what exactly is IoT, how it works, what are the various devices, what are these sensors, what are the actuators, fine, what are the different kind of communication models related to IoT, and all these things we will going to discuss in part 1, whereas in part 2 I am going to show you some practical application use cases of IoT. Okay, so two which we have already done in manufacturing industry, so those two I am going to discuss with you, and many more are also there in IoT. So brief things I am going to discuss on that particular aspect also, that application. So let me start with first thing, that is only this is only for those people who are not aware that what is the capability of IoT. So to make you understand IoT, let us I am going to take the example of mobile phones. You already know that it has many features like GPS tracking, my mobile gyroscope, adaptive brightness is there, voice detection, and we also have face detection system. So most of these features have common interactions between them. One application can have all these features. We can also have features in self interacting with each other. So how these features are interacting with each other, such as based on GPS tracking, we can adjust our brightness of the phone. Same way, based on directions also, brightness could be adjusted. So now this is the actually basic thing of Internet of Things. So when they interact with each other and make a better system rather than individually what they can provide, that capability is the Internet of Things. So this is the basic capability of Internet of Things which I wanted to share with you people. Another second important thing is, another IoT. What is IoT? You can oversee here also see that. So we know that IoT is connecting everyday things embedded with electronics. It can be software, sensors, or internet, enabling them to connect and exchange the data. Now, this is one example which I'm showing. Suppose we have internet platform where we can connect these things. Let's take example of a house. Okay, now we can connect my lock here. I'm showing you AC, lights, and all these can be managed through same platform. Since I have platform which we can also connect our car to it and monitor fuel meter, speed of car, location of car as well. Now, would it be great that if all these things are connected in one platform, and now we can control all these things remotely. So like by the time you reach home, you can set a particular temperature of your AC, and you can automatically lock your automatic lock is unlocked for you as soon as you reach home. So all these things are possible with the IoT. So again, this is the one another parameter which I am showing you of IoT. Another thing which I am going to show you here, that internet is the main medium which I have showed you in this particular slide, that how these things are connected. Now again, now what IoT is actually doing, previously we all humans were dependent on each other. Now IoT is expanding. IoT is now expanding, and we are interdependence of we are actually humans are now connected with the objects. So what we are doing, we are expanding this interdependence and interacting and collaborating with the things. So human is nowadays interacting with the things. So here you can see what all applications we are showing you, like vehicles, asset, persons, pet monitoring, controlling, agriculture automation, energy consumption, security, surveillance, building, constructions, mobiles, sensor networks, every day, like you can see over here also, lock, TV, your shoes, everything, smart homes, smart cities, medical and healthcare is coming up. in this also. So what we are exactly doing, we are expanding. We are expanding from human to human. Now we are expanding from IoT to object. Another thing now, these are the small facts related to IoT. Again, this is for those who are not aware of IoT. What is IoT? So this is the terminology which was actually started by Kevin Ashton in 1999. And what makes IoT so important nowadays? If you see, they are saying that 2025 will be the year where 100 billion of devices will be connected, and a global impact you can see at that particular time. So this kind of a projection, which is showing that IoT will be in huge demand, and it's not like that we can, work. IoT will going to work independently. No, whatever you are learning in these FDPs, all these technologies are definitely required. So somehow all these technologies ultimately will going to collaborate, and then you will going to make a IoT kind of a device. So these are the two facts which why I wanted to share with you. Now, how this thing arise? So IoT is actually not new. So nowadays it is a buzzword, but this idea actually came from RFID, NFC. So those who are not aware of RFID, so a radio frequency identification. So again, you people must be aware barcode readers, radio frequency identification. So these terminologies are not new. So what has actually changed? Now the frequency has changed, new devices have come up, the methodologies have changed. So this particular idea was actually conceived by these members of RFID community only, and what they discovered that this information which we are getting, we can get all these information with the object, with the tags or sensors, simply by browsing an IP address or database entry. And how we will going to get these entries? By RFID or NFC. So NFCs nowadays everyone is using in their mobile phone, either for mobile payments, we have access control, loyalty programs. You can see over here what are the benefits of NFC. So target marketing is nowadays Bluetooth marketing, target marketing, NFC marketing. So these are very common. Information exchange, social networks, in-store marketing. So these things are very, very common today. And this IoT has started, actually, this particular idea came from RFID and NFCs. Okay. So another thing which, yes, this is very important. So once we know what is, IoT and how it started and what is the terminology, what is the basic idea, another thing which I wanted to cover is the technological drivers. Like if you want to adopt IoT, so why this thing has now becomes very robust and everyone is adopting it. So what are the technology drivers of IoT adoption? First thing, we know that this mobile connectivity, that is anywhere connectivity, which is the most important thing. So we have grown from 1G to 5G. So low cost, high speed network. This is the power of IoT. So as long as these technologies will grow, this IoT thing will also grow. So this pervasive network connectivity and this, you can see, wireless services and technology make it more connectable. So now everything is connectable because of this kind of technology is available with us nowadays. And the timeline is also, I'm showing you that how this particular technology has evolved. Cellular network technology has evolved in the years. Another second technology driver which is very important is miniaturization. Now devices have been miniaturized, and you know that this kind of things is not new. Even our computers have been now in a miniature state, mini states are there. And now in manufacturing also, this miniaturization has become very common. And here I have shown you an example. You can see first Arduino came, Raspberry Zero has came, Arduino, all these terminologies I'm going to cover, don't worry. So these are things which I'm going to cover. What are these? What is Arduino? What is Raspberry? So these are the so many terminologies related to IoT, and today I'm going to focus upon that only. And this, you can see that Arduino Mega, then Arduino Uno, then Mini and Micro, LipiPad. This is small devices which has come up, and because of that only nowadays health industry, and we are Fitbits and these capsules, wristbands, having good processing powers are nowadays very, very common. And we are using all these things. So second, technology I have discussed with you why, which has fueled, this IoT and all these inexpensive sensor devices has made IoT application possible. Third important technology by which IoT has started is the IP. So Internet Protocol, everyone knows that we have learned this, those who are from networking, they must be aware of TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Again, the standards have changed. What you don't know is what is IPv6 version. And this again, I am going to cover in this session. So adoption of IP, that is IP-based networking, which is a global standard, and this has also, come up, and unique IDs. So unique identification is possible due to this protocol only, and this is also, very inexpensive, and that is the reason that IoT is again very famous. So first three, and now another three, technological drivers related to IoT is the computing power, storage power, algorithms. You people are talking about new algorithms. So because this computing power is developing day by day, rapid, increase of power, quantity of data storage, cloud services availabilities are there. We can easily aggregate, we can easily correlate, we can analyze vast volume of data, and all these data sets provide us new opportunities for extracting information. And because we are able to collect this data, we can also do the insights. So we can make good decision making. We can have a good, effective, and efficient decision making with this kind of computing power. Again, if we have this power, we can make decisions, and that is why again IoT applications, whether in a healthcare industry, whether in your agriculture, everywhere we can see renewable energy, everywhere you can see IoT is there. Strong analytics, as I discussed with you, that computing power along with strong analytics, and because at low prices, this computing power is available, and with reduced power consumption, we can have a good analytics, and we can make a good and effective decision making, and that is the reason another technology which has made IoT possible. And cloud computing is one another technological driver with which we need to discuss that how technology, this particular cloud computing, and which is this pay per use. So those who are aware that how this cloud computing is providing their services, so whether it is a software as a service, whether it is a platform as a service. So because cloud computing now, again, because you are providing so many operating system freely, and because we can use all these services as we want, and paper use basis we are using, and we can also leverage remote controlling, so from remote access is also provided. Computing resources are huge. We can even compute, process, and store all this data in the cloud. So that capability also made this possible. Okay, so this again, backend analytical algorithms are provided by the cloud also. So I think so now six important technological driver which I wanted to discuss with you people, which has made this IoT possible. Next important thing, yes, this is very, very comprehensive slide which I wanted. First, I thought that should I make it a little bit little only topic wise, or only one line should be there, or should I make it comprehensive? But later on that I thought that I am going to distribute this PPT with you people. So let me make it comprehensive, and let us discuss this reference model. So those who are aware of TCP/IP, so those who have, because I know that background is computer science, so all these people know about TCP/IP protocols and the layers. So the layers of IoT is similar to those layers only. If you can see over here in the left hand side, it is divided into fog computing, cloud, big data, and business value. So IoT is a combination of these things. So it is not that individually we are working. We have to, altogether we have to integrate all these technologies. So first is a fog one. So first layer is the thing that is devices, sensors, controller, physical devices. I am going to discuss about these physical devices. I'm going to talk about the sensors, कितने तरीके के sensors हैं, like temperature sensor, pressure hand sensor, humidity, vibration. So there are so many physical sensors. These are attached to the devices, machinery, or the independent end devices, and from there we are actually collecting the data. Now, once we have collected all this data from the physical sensor, it will move to the second level. And the second level is the communication protocols. We know what is protocol, that is the rules and regulations. So what kind of rules and regulation IoT is going to provide? That is the connectivity and communication protocols, that is M2M, Wi-Fi, whatever protocols, whatever application you are trying to build up. Based on that, the protocols will be decided, and these are, will going to timely on real time also. They will going to transfer the information between the devices and across the network. Now, third thing, once your data has been moved from this protocol, then it will go to the this cloud one. Now, three type of clouds we already aware of, that public, private, hybrid, whatever type of infrastructure your company has, it will going to real time streamlining of this particular data into the cloud. Then from this particular level, we will going to move to the data capturing mode. And here comes the big data. So first thing is that in this particular layer, that comes the big data harvest and storage, because we have a real time of data, and you know that from sensor, huge amount of data is coming, and this data is also unstructured. So we have different kind of data. It can be text, it can be signals. So we have to interpret these data, and that is why the terminology is big data. So from there, this particular level, we will going to further process all these particular data, and once we will going to process the data, clean the data, and will going to move toward the layer 5, which is reporting, mining, and machine learning. Here, those people who are working with the machine learning, algorithms, you people start your work from here. So now what you will going to do, you will going to either visualize it, you will going to make a report out of it, you will going to mine it, you will going to find some kind of insights, you will going to find out some kind of patterns. And these kind of patterns in this here, these patterns will be communicated in the ERP system, that is enterprise resource planning, then customer relationship management, or your business intelligence reporting. So in this particular layer, all this reporting part will going to happen. Once we will move from here, then we will go beyond, and now we will going to make a particular application. So different application, either it can be health application, either it can be retail application. So different custom applications using this particular thing. So when we are using word thing, that means object. So whatever object you are monitoring, whatever object you are taking, or you are sensing, or you are sensing a data out of it, you will going to make a custom application for that particular data. Later on, once you have this particular data, now you will going to empower your people by providing them these apps, and this transformational decision making based on things, apps, and data. This is the last layer, that is people and process. So now you are aware that how things will going to move in the IoT layers. So from first layer of fog computing till business value. So those who are working in business industry, those who are aware that how we are using this particular application, and then we will going to get a feedback out of them. So those who are working in that particular area or research, they will going to find that whether they like that particular application or not, whether they like wristband or not, what kind of data is coming, whether that data is coming accurately or not. Then based on that decision, company will going to improve their applications. So this is a bi-directional kind of a thing will going to happen. It's a cycle that will going to happen. Now, once I am clear, and I have discussed with you this 7 layers of the internet, next move to this, whatever I was discussing. This is a clear picture. Now I am sure that IoT will be very clear to you people, that how IoT is working and what kind of infrastructure or this kind of architecture of IoT is there. So here on the left hand side, you can see things, and I'm saying things. So the applicable areas we are showing: energy, industry, healthcare, transportation, defense, smart homes, connected car, wearable technologies. So all these things will have some kind of sensor. And now what kind of sensor, what is the cost of this sensor? This I am going to discuss in my coming slides. So first I am just showing you that these are the things and these are the areas where we have provided the sensors. Now this sensor will going to collect all this information and will move toward the networking layer. And here, gateways and routers, and I'm very sure that you people are aware of these routers, gateways, and what kind of networking devices are there. And from this particular gateways and routers, our data will go to the cloud. And this any service provider you can take, and there are so many service providers related to cloud, and whatever kind of service you want, platform as a service, or you want a software as a service, or whatever service you want, you are taking from that particular service provider of the cloud, and from there it is moving toward the big data, there where there are so many servers, and where we are going to make some kind of analytical report. And these analytical reports are further communicated to the CRM, ERP, BI, so those customer relationship management, enterprise relationship, enterprise resource planning. I'm so sorry. And then you can oversee that business intelligence is there, HRs are there, enterprise application layers. So those who are aware of enterprise applications layer. So my data will finally, in the form of some report, is communicated to these business managers, and these business managers will definitely then going to make some kind of a decision out of it. So this is the proper framework of IoT. Now, once you are aware of this, how IoT work, what is the architecture, how it works. Now, important thing, what are the various communication protocols? So I wanted to make it a bit technical, so that is why I also want that these things you should be aware, at least this terminology you should be aware of, that what are the various communication protocols are available with the IoT. So we already know that IoT is going to connect heterogeneous objects. So I'm not talking about homogeneous objects. I am emphasizing on the heterogeneous objects. So once we know that we are going to connect so many heterogeneous objects, so what kind of devices are required? And these devices, the main point which I am going to emphasize over here is that it requires minimal power requirement. So these devices, the beauty of these devices is this: these devices require a very minimum power. So that is why these people are using these kind of devices. Since it is, again I'm saying that we are going to connect it and going to take all these data in real time. So what kind of communication technologies and protocols that we are using? That is Wi-Fi. You can see RFID is there, Bluetooth is there, Wi-Fi is there, near field communication is there, then ultra wide bandwidth is there, then long term evaluation, LTE we are using 5, then Zigbee, Z-Wave. So all these again I am just showing you that these are the various kind of communication protocols that we are using to make these IoT devices. Okay. So now again you already aware of the ranges, I'm very sure, but if you want, you can directly go and check that on what particular range these RFID is working, how Bluetooth, what is the range of Bluetooth, what is the range of Wi-Fi. So whatever data capturing we want, based on that we will going to use the device. So these are the various devices used for IoT. Fine. Next. Yes. Now, devices we have already discussed. What I am going to talk about, I'm going to talk about how these devices will going to communicate with this, communication models. So Internet Architecture Board, that is IAB, I'm very sure that all of you are aware of these Internet Architecture Boards, and they have actually in 2015 outlined a particular framework for this, communication models. So first communication that I want to share with you is the device-to-device communications, and these protocols like infrared we are using, Z waves we are using, Zigbees are there, Bluetooth fine device to device, and where we are using these kind of devices. So in residential areas, in home automation system, like musical applications, light bulbs, power switches, thermostats, your locks that is you are using. So again you can see over here, so from one particular bulb and manufacturer, that is light switch from manufacturer B. So as I discussed with you, IoT is all about connecting heterogeneous objects. So here I am emphasizing that one light bulb is from manufacturer A, and it is not necessary that manufacturer A should provide us with the switch also. It can be from different manufacturer. Fine. So now how they are connected? They are connected with the help of Bluetooth, Z-Wave, and Zigbee. Yes, standards require to be maintained. That is the minimum requirement. But yes, device-to-device communication is one thing which is being communicated in this communication model. Second communication which I wanted to discuss is the device to directly cloud. Now here I'm not talking about device to device, I'm talking about the device to communication. So what we are doing here, IoT device is directly connected to the application service provider, your cloud service provider. Fine. So whatever messages are coming here, you can see in this particular diagram that device is actually coming from temperature sensor is going to the cloud, and this again a device with carbon monoxide sensor is going to cloud, and vice versa. It's a bi-directional kind of a thing, and different protocols you can see is showing over there. And what we are going to do, this particular approach utilizes this communication and ethernet, via ethernet or wi-fi connections, and this device to cloud kind of connection is being made. And where is the applicability? Google Nest, you just go and you can even Google it, you will going to find that this is a very popular consumer IoT device. It is known as Nest Lab, yeah, Google Nest or thermostat. Even in Samsung Smart TV, these people are using device to cloud communication type. Right? Now, third one which I wanted to discuss with you is the device to gateway model. Now, here in the diagram on the right hand side, you can see one is the sensing domain, second is the network domain, and third one is the your application domain. So here what you can see, all these device sensors will going to provide this particular information with the help of different tags. You can see it will directly go to the IoT gateway, and then from this gateway, either it can directly go to your application device, control and monitoring with the tablet or smartwatch, or it will go to your cloud for further data processing, so that we can finally use sometimes some consumer want that we want direct real time data like heartbeat and health monitoring system. They want real time. So for this particular real time data, we are using direct communication from IoT gateway, or it can be with the help of Wi-Fi or Ethernet or different communication protocols, and it can directly go to cloud also, or from there we will going to do some kind of data analytics. So I'm sure that now you people are aware of communication models related to your IoT. So three communication models I have discussed. One is your device to device, then I discussed device to cloud, and last one which I have discussed with you, which you can see in your personal fitness trackers like Fitbit and all these things. These are device to gateway model. Okay, so that means in this device to gateway, this device act as an intermediary between the device and the cloud. Fine. So now once that is also clear, let us go another important topic internet, as I discussed with you, that TCP/IP I am going to cover. So this in transmission control protocol and inter protocol, you people have, all of you are aware of this kind of IP. I'm very sure this IP address everyone has seen, but this is IP version 4. But in IoT, we are not working with Internet Protocol version 4. We are working with 128-bit IPv6. So as I discussed with you that there are so many devices that will going to be connected, how we will going to uniquely identify that particular device. So for that, we need some kind of, address, IP address was required. And this 32-bit IP4 address was not enough. So that is why they come up with, because you can see over here, I have written that IP4 version 4 addresses were created and there can only be 4.3 billion total unique IP address. So that is the limitation of IP version 4. But subsequently what they did then, because we know that we need billions of unique numbers, and which is only possible with the help of IPv6. And now here I have written that this IP address can provide unique ID to each grain of sand on earth. So you can imagine the power of IP version 6. So this is also another thing which has made IoT possible, or IoT devices are possible just because of these technologies. So IoT is not one technology, it's a combination, it is an integration of all those concepts which we are learning from computer science, from ages. So all these have combined and now IoT have come up. So I have discussed with you now this thing. So now IP version 6 has 128 bits, and it has a 8 hexadecimal groups of 4. So those who have done networking and are very much interested, they can see that how this hexadecimal networking IP address works. And this will help us in to make trillions and trillions of objects using IP version 6. And now I'm moving to next slide. Yes. Now another very important thing which I wanted to share, that IP, apart from it provides you unique addresses, that is the one important thing related to IPv6 is end-to-end encryption. So because we know that with IoT, security is the major factor. So now if we want to make our smart products, and we are making it every day, and we want to make it secure, and we want to save it from hacking, how we will going to do it? So that is also reason this IPv6 is running end-to-end encryptions, and integrity is provided. And this particular IPv is helping this most importantly in the healthcare industry. Data in healthcare industry is very, very private and very secure, and there they want. And this IPv has actually addressed this issue and has also resolved this traditional network address translation and firewall issue. So IPv6 is actually helping you in two ways. One is end-to-end encryption. Apart from that, it is also providing you various kind of unique addresses. So that is the major backbone of Internet of Things. So I am sure that till now I am making some sense. Then another, yes, this is also one thing which is very, very important. What is required for making an IoT device? So key elements. So if you want to make a device, IoT device, so what are the various elements which are required? Here comes the importance of sensors and the actuators. Fine. So those who are from mechanical, they will be very happy, to know about the actuators, because they have learned so many mechanical devices of actuators there. So even in IoT, what we need identifications. And first of all, identification is possible with the help of Internet Protocol version 6, as I discussed with you. So we said that first is the unique identification of the object. So if we want to make a IoT object, so first is the important, one is the object identification and its address, which is already resolved. We have already discussed of IP version 6. Now, second important thing that we will going to talk about is the sensors. Now, sensing, how we will going to gather the readings from that particular object and send it to the network, and then later on for the storage purpose. Here, single board computer, SBC, this word will also come when we will going to talk about the Arduino and Raspberry. So I am going to discuss about the Arduino, what is Arduino and Raspberry. There also this word will going to come. Fine, single board computers. So you for making a device, we need a first of all a single board computer. We know that we all for our computers we have motherboard. Just like that in IoT also we have single board computer on which we will going to make all these, we will going to establish all these sensors. From there we will going to collect the data to the cloud, and then we will do some kind of a programming to get the data and make the analytics out of it. So first of all, we need single board computers which will be integrated with sensors such as temperature sensors, and different sensors have different terminologies there, and you can see example DHT11 is there, DHT22 is there. These are the different kind of temperature sensors. Okay, then infrared sensors are there, voice sensor. I'm going to discuss all of these sensors. Don't worry. In my next slide, sensors are coming. So a voice sensor is there. These gas sensors though that will going to detect in home automation. It helps a lot, and these all are going to be inbuilt in this CPIP and security functionalities. And there we will going to make these IoT project. As I discussing with you, single board computer. The example of these single board computer are Arduino, Raspberry Pi. You must have listened to all these things. People are making a project on IoT with the help of Arduino. Some people are making projects on the Raspberry. So what is the basic difference? Why few people are making some projects in Arduino, and why few people are working on the Raspberry? And there is also another more very famous is Arduino and Raspberry, and there are others also. BeagleBone Black is also there, but it's not very popular. But Arduino, and Raspberry Pi is very famous. So all these devices have have built-in Bluetooth and RJ45 connectivity with Wi-Fi we will going to use. And these are the sensors that are being used. Okay, and here you can see in particular this figure, sensors that is going to detect, and actuator is actually will going to move it. Okay, so sensors are not equal to the actuators. What are these? We will going to discuss now. As I told you that one is the identification, second is the sensing, and third one is the transducer. Fine. So here you can see exactly that particular how this particular device will going to work. There will be an input signal, then there will be a transducer. Sensor will going to collect the data. It will go to the processor, and then it will go to the actuator. And then from actuator, you are getting a output signal. So what is the purpose of this transducer? So transducer will going to convert a signal from one physical form to another. So like thermal, if you are talking about the temperature kind of thing, if you are talking about electric, whether it is mechanical, it can be magnetic, it can be chemical, it can be optical. So all these kind of, signals are being converted. Example is your microphone, which will going to convert the sound to electrical, and then speakers will going to convert this electrical to sound. Antenna convert electromagnet to electricity. So these are the few examples of transducer. That what is the work of transducer. So actually sensors and actuators are nothing but the transducer only. So but what we will going to talk about the different type of sensors, and then we will going to talk about the different type of actuators. So now I am sure that we are aware that for making an IoT device, we need some sensors, we need some actuators. Okay. Yes, this is the one slide related to sensors. So when I am talking about what is a sensor, it is nothing but a device. It can be a device, it can be a material which will going to detect the presence of a particular quantity. So any physical quantity, either it can be human also. Here you can see that human presence, temperature presence, rain, whether it is a ultrasonic, whether it is a gas or it is a humidity. So every sensor is there. So we are monitoring, we are detecting some kind of physical quantity. And this output of a sensor is always a signal which is converted into human readable form. So ultimately we will going to convert it into human readable form, then only we will understand that what is going on. Okay, so some examples of sensors over here I'm just showing you, and maybe I'm just showing that the cost also, that these sensors are not very expensive, but yes, there is a disadvantage of these things also, that all these get they damage, they get easily damaged. So every time they have to change this. So for small things it is very difficult. Yes, for small devices this is a one limitation which these people are facing nowadays. But technology is being advanced, they are now making a good sensors which are not easily damaged. So temperature and humidity is there. This you can see gas detector. There are LPG, CH4, methane is also there. Carbon monoxide is there, and then there are various other type of this methane sensings also. That is also, the cost is between 200 to 300. Ultrasonic distance sensor. Then there is a camera sensor, and then you can see over infrared rays installation. Motion sensor is there, then a rain detection sensor, then there is a fire detection sensor, human presence sensor. So there are various sensors. I'm just showing you a little bit of a particular, so that they say that images retain in the mind, and we are now aware that how these sensors look like, and how they will going to work also, we will going to see. Now the cost also for these sensors. Another thing, once you know the sensor, this is another important point which I want to discuss, is the sensors classification. So actually they have classified this into passive and active sensors. Then they have also classified sensors into analog and digital, scalar and vector also. Fine. So this is the sensors classification. So passive, when we are talking, hello? Yeah. Passive sensors, that is, cannot independently sense the input. So for example, accelerometer, there is a soil moisture, water level and temperature sensors. So these are the passive sensors, they cannot independently sense the input. Whereas few sensors are very active sensors, and they can independently sense the input. For example, radar is there, then sounder, laser, altimeter. So first thing we have to notice that these are the passive and active sensors are there. Then there are analog and digital sensors. Sometimes you will get the output in the form of a continuous signal. So temperature signal is one kind of an analog signal provider. Analog pressure sensor is there, magnetic sensors are there, they are analog. And digital sensors are those, it will going to provide you in a binary responses are there. So passive infrared sensor is there, temperature sensor is there, digital temperature sensor. So these are the different kind of sensors classification. Uh, Another one is the scalar and vector. What is scalar and vector? Detect the input parameter only based on magnitude and not affected by the direction. For example, here you can say temperature, gas, strain, color, smoke sensors. So these are actually depend upon the what is the magnitude of that particular sensor. Okay, whereas few sensors will going to talk about the direction. So accelerometer, gyroscope, which I was showing you in the first slide, okay, directions, that will be the sensors which will work only on the direction. So scalar, which will talk about the magnitude, color, like how much thickness is there, then how much dark the color is, how much smoke is there, what is the condensation point. So that is the scalar, and those who will work only for this particular direction sense, accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetic field, motion director sensors, these comes under the vector. So I'm sure that now you people are aware of sensors, that how many sensors are there, what is the cost of sensors, how we have classified sensors. Some sensors are active, some sensors are passive, some are analog, some are digital, scalar, vector. So this is how we have divided these sensors. Next is because I discussed with you that sensors alone cannot work. We need some kind of motion. So that control action and that control, motion will come with the help of actuator. There should be some, so there is an actuator that will.
Pankaj sir, Pankaj.
Yeah. So actuator, as I discussed with you, sensors cannot work alone. We need actuator which will going to control the action of the sensor. So if sensor is sensing some data, then a particular actuator, what actuator will going to do? It will going to bring some kind of action into it. Okay. So here you can see energy is coming, signal is coming, actuator will going to make a motion or a particular force for that. So again, for making an IoT device, you need some kind of sensors, you need actuators, and examples of actuator. I'm very sure that these things you have seen in your home also. DC motor is there, then electric motor, solenoid, hard drive stepper motor is there, then hydraulic cylinder, PGO, electric actuator. So they are also attached with the help with these sensors to make an IoT devices. Okay, so few diagrams and these few examples of actuator I have shown you. Again, like sensors, these actuators are actually also classified. So I'm not going to discuss the classification of actuators in detail. I'm just telling you that these all, because it goes into mechanical field. So for us, what is more important is that we need some kind of motion, and we need some kind of hardware which will going to control these sensors, and these are the actuators. And these, the classification is electrical linear is there, some motors are rotatory, some are fluid power linear, some are fluid power rotatory motions are there. There are some chain actuators, there are some manual and linear kind of actuators, some are manual rotatory actuators. So these things are very, very important. Fine. So again, these important thing, yeah, someone is asking that, ma'am, our sensors have inbuilt actuators. Nowadays they are trying to come up with this thing also, but till now they are like for industrial IoT. One of my student, he's working as a CEO in Uflex Limited, and he's a global CEO, and he was telling me that, ma'am, nowadays what we are trying to do, we are combining it with the sensors. So yes, for industrial IoT, I'm sure that this thing is coming. But yes, if you're talking about small devices, I'm not very sure that this can happen, because that will going to make it costly, and that is something which is not for our Fitbits like thing. For our daily usage, it will be difficult. So I'm not for daily usage is not, but yes, industrial IoT people are trying to come up with this one solution. So they are trying for that. So now I am going to combine this sensor and actuators, that how these sensors and actuator are working combinedly. So now separately I have discussed with you that both things are working, sensors are working and actuators. Now we will show that how these two things are working combinedly. So let us take an example, that temperature will going to sense the and detect the heats. Okay. So sensor has taken that particular sensor and they detect the heat, and it is converted into Fahrenheit, and it will going to send the signals to the control center. And as I discussed with you, this control center will going to send this particular command to my this device, another device. We have discussed the model and device to device communication. We have discussed that how they will going to work. Fine. So this control center will going to send this particular command to the sprinkler, and now this sprinkler will going to turn on and put the flame out. Okay. So all this particular flame will be immediately off once actuator will work, because there we need some kind of a motor, and this motor and this kind of actuator will going to bring some kind of action. So here I'm very sure that you people are now bit aware that what sensor will going to do? Sensor is going to sense only, and it will going to provide you with the signal that something is wrong. Now here is the actuator, and this is a kind of a mechanical device which will going to take some kind of action towards it. So this is the sensor to actuator flow, and this is the integration of sensor and actuator which will going to make this IoT device. Okay. Okay, now I have reached to another topic to Arduino and Raspberry. I was discussing of single board control. You remember I was discussing this in my this slide here. Here when I was discussing when we are making an IoT device, so we need single board computer. Here you can see. So sensing a single board computer. So I am going to discuss this now. So here, these are the two new terms that I am going to discuss with you is the microcontrollers versus microprocessor. So a few people are very much confused about this thing. So what is Arduino? So Arduino is a microcontroller. Here, fine. It has a self-contained chip. First of all, this is this Arduino. You can see it has a chip, and it has some circuitry also, but it is a very little kind of circuitry. Support is very less. Whereas if we talk about this Raspberry, so Raspberry Pi has different chips, okay, and it has the more processing power. So Raspberry capabilities are more as compared to Arduino, but there are special occasions where we are using only Arduino and we are not using Raspberry, and some few areas where we can use only Raspberry, we cannot use Arduino. Fine. So now another difference between Arduino and Raspberry, sensors and other hardware can be controlled directly through the input-output pin. So here you can see that we can easily, there is an input pin, there is an output pin, and these sensors can be controlled directly in the Arduino. Whereas when you are talking about this Raspberry, for this input and output control for the sensors, you have a code, and we need to have a code which we don't need in the Arduino, and we directly can play. So it is a kind of a plug and play. So Arduino is a kind of a plug and play, but we cannot say this thing with the Raspberry Pi. But you need some technical, algorithms or some kind of a coding with the Raspberry. And again, there is a difference that they don't run an operating system, rather they step through the code that is given to them. And again, in this Arduino, there is no operating system, but whereas if we talk about, as I discussed, that is a microcontroller. So I'm emphasizing that Arduino is a microcontroller, whereas Raspberry in itself is a proper standalone computer. It's a micro and it has a code written inside it. So this is the basic difference. So for big projects we are using Raspberry Pi, and you can say that for small projects we can use Arduino. And this is again, as discussed, designed for circuitry and low level of hardware or direct programming. Whereas if we talk about the Raspberry Pi, it is designed for software and high level of hardware interaction. So you will going to see like all these people will talk about only Arduino and Raspberry. So basic difference I'm just covering, so that you should not using Arduino, few people are using Raspberry Pi, which particular device is good, which is not. So this is the basic concept which I'm trying and sharing with you all, that this is a basic difference. Again, for your, because I'm going to share this PPT, so I want that if you are sharing and if you are learning, you want to learn more about IoT, you should know what is the basic difference between Raspberry Pi and Arduino, this Arduino and here advantages and disadvantages are clearly written. It can be, even you can see that costly disadvantages are there. Raspberry is very, it can be more expensive also if you are using SD cards or like that, whereas in Arduino you can see that this can run on one code at a time, and but we cannot have a multitasking activities, and it can have a slower speed. And we can also talk about that it requires learning curve, bigger learning curve is required, because here we are using this C++ language. So this is the basic disadvantages, but what is the advantage? So you can see Raspberry stronger and quicker. as I discussed, multitasking is possible. It has a built-in Ethernet port. It has Wi-Fi port. It has Bluetooth capability. You can easily switch into the operating system. It has audio output, camera port, USB, HDMI, and you can easily, code in this Raspberry. So big projects and very great projects people have made with the help of Raspberry. If we talk about Arduino for small for MTech or for your these students, BTech students, Arduino board is less expensive. People are making projects on these. So those people who are teaching IoT, I'm very sure they are using Arduino only, and because it can easily connect to analog signals, motors, and where kind of functionalities and shields can be added. As I discussed with you, it is just a plug and play kind of a thing, and the prices is also not very high on that, and it is AB USB will work in with that. And again, people have made a great projects with Arduino also. So this is again a basic operate, single board connectors which I wanted to discuss. These are the very two popular these platforms on which people are developing IoT devices. Okay. Okay, so now my first part, as I promised you that today in this particular session, we will going to first talk about the IoT. What is IoT? What is the applicability? What are the sensors, actuators, and different techniques, protocols? We have discussed all these things. Now onward in part two, I'm very sure that my PPT will going to cover it's a 3 o'clock. Let's see that how again we will going to cover it. So this is the second part of my PPT, where I'm going to talk about the applicability and the use cases where we have already seen that people have used this IoT, and how they have companies have been benefited by using IoT. So first of all, because my topic was related to manufacturing, and this is one thing which we have already seen and applied in one manufacturing, as I discussed with you, that I was working with one of my scholar, and Ravi Ramakrishna. He's a very big, CIO in Uflex Limited, and he has already implemented all these techniques in his manufacturing unit. So from there, I am just showing you that how they have used this IoT in human free inventory management system. So first use case, see, so these are the slides which I have taken from my book only. So first, because this is the case which we have discussed in our book. So as I discussed that what kind of inventories and the manufacturing setup we used to keep. So we know that we want to keep an inventory of raw material. We want to keep an inventory of work in progress. We want to keep inventory of finished goods. So what is required now? A smart manufacturing. If we want to make a smart manufacturing organization, so we have to deal with all these things, and we have to see that nothing should be lost. There should be a proper timing. So all there were so many challenges, manual data entry errors were there. So there were many challenges which they have, reduced or actually eliminated in their manufacturing unit. So what this is the typical business process which is involved related to inventory, that order booking, that check inventory, then production order, then procurement is there, inbound inventory, then production batch assembly is there, then packing is there, then outbound logistics, and last is billing and invoicing. So this is the typical business process involved related to inventory. So what kind of things they were facing? Due to manual data entry errors and time loss need to be factored in each point. So every point has, some kind of drawback, because every point has some kind of data entry system, and what they wanted it to make it automatic. So what they did, yes, I'm showing you that what was the problem, and then what were the challenges, and how this particular they have implemented. So a global manufacturing giant in India produces polystyrol. This is the same manufacturing unit I'm talking about. This is a global manufacturing. They have huge business setup, and not in India only. That they have set up in every country, I suppose, and in USA, in Singapore, they have in again Europe also they have. So what they are doing? This particular manufacturing unit in India produces polyester wool of different width, both on a metallic and paper core with different length. And different length is there, width is there, their thickness is also different. So what they are doing, they are preparing 500 ton of rolls and every day 2000. So you can see that how many rolls were coming and what kind of challenges they were facing. They wanted to reduce the time taken to track a roll across houses, and this is the warehouse they are talking about. This is the warehouse, 25,000 square meter they were talking about that they have, and they also wanted to eliminate manual keying of data to track the roll movement, and they also wanted to have a foolproof system to eliminate the loss of inventory or pilferage. So these are the unique challenges which they wanted to reduce with the help of IoT. So this is the problem. These were the challenges faced by them. You can see the right hand side that how manual data. Previously, they were doing all these things manually, and later on, they have inbuilt all these sensors. Which whatever sensors I was talking about, now they have provided all these sensors here only. So now I'm just showing you. Yes, you can see. Again, timeline I have discussed with you. There are
Ma'am,
like yes. Hello.
can we take few questions?
Absolutely, absolutely. We can take. I think so. I can see in the child. Can you provide some real-time mechanism that can be implemented IoT for research? Yeah, definitely. Please just wait till the end of my research. We have done some kind of thing, and because this is a limitation of online teaching also that I cannot show you. But if you want to see that how these people have done it, you have to visit their manufacturing, and there you can exactly see that how these things are going on. So I'm very sure that the research part I can definitely show, and can you provide you with my some papers where we have done all these things, but very difficult to show you in online mode. This is my limitation. I'm sorry, but later on you can connect with me and I can talk about this.
I
Yes. Any
request to
other
all
question?
participants, if anyone have any question, they can unmute your mic, ask the query. I will share the details, contact details at the end. There is no problem. I will share the mobile number and the email ID of Dr. Lovely.
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
do, yeah, if you have no questions, then we can continue.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to provide you all the links where these things are. You can easily see that how these things are. Absolutely, I'm going to share these slides. I'm going to share my research papers. I'm going to discuss, and later on also, if you want to work on that area, we can easily, work on that also. So don't worry about that. Anything else, Vishal sir? Any question?
No, ma'am, we can continue.
Okay, sir. Fine.
Sorry to disturb you.
No, no, it's okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So as I was discussing with you, okay, where I was discussing, this was the problem. Okay, again I'm going back. So this was the problem, these were the challenges that this particular global manufacturing was facing. And later on, we know that previously what this company was doing, they were actually working with the barcode system. Later on, they have in their containers they have applied RFID also. So these companies are also growing day by day. Nowadays, they are focused into this particular IoT BLE. So now, if you ask me that what is the trend nowadays, so this is the Bluetooth beacons की बात हो रही है. So how the Bluetooth filters other devices in the vicinity, I'm going to discuss. Fine. So what BLE will going to do? First of all, you should know that Bluetooth low energy sensors. Okay, so there are so many devices. If you see that even in your home automation, you can use BLE. Even in your medical device in Fitbit, you can use. So you are asking me the vicinity Bluetooth, whatever the range of the Bluetooth, you can check in that particular vicinity. So this BLE they have used in the in their inventory management systems and how it is working. So let me tell you first what is Bluetooth beacons are. Bluetooth beacons are basically sensors which are embedded with this Bluetooth transceiver. So it's a bi-directional kind of information, and all this information is transferred or powered with the small lithium battery, and then it will be transferred again. Whatever communication model you want, device to device, it will go device to device. If you want to go device to cloud, it will go device to cloud. If you want to device to, it goes to IoT gateway, it will go there. So it depends upon the kind of model that your company has decided. So as I discussed, that these companies are also growing day by day. So from barcode they move to RFID. Now from RFID they have started applying this Bluetooth low energy sensors, and you can because they have applied in the manufacturing, you can apply it any application. I am going to discuss various applications where they have applied. But yes, in India, let me tell you that there are very few organizations that were able to implement it. You will not going to find various organizations who have started implementing, but this is the organization which have also received many awards just because they have implemented IoT. Okay. Next, this is the solution. Now, how they have used it. So again, those who are asking me the same question, I will just see this particular slide. There you will come to know. First of all, I wanted to show you how this BLE beacon look like. So can you see this is a small and beautiful buttons. These are the BLE beacons, and this is the division. This is the description, and this is the architecture, and where BLE. It's a coin size kind of a thing you can see, and this is what they have started. Now solution, what they started with the where they were having production. So they started with the production and wound on cores using winders. So this is very typical technical language of manufacturing, and they were having some winders. So winders, we know that who will going to roll it out. Okay, so because these are very big sheets and tons of sheets were there, so they were rolling out, and they started it from there only. So what they did, they placed these BLE icons into that particular core of that particular sheets itself. And now what happens, whenever this particular roll is being lifted by cranes or forklift, and it will going to be scanned by a Bluetooth scanner. And you can see here in the diagram, there is a fixed terminals and Android, can you see? All these Android. This is a large warehouse where they have applied these BLE beacons, and these are being traced by these Android. Either it can be mobile or some way, and two-way signals are there. Fine. So the Bluetooth fixed signals, and these scanners will going to catch these signals, and whenever these rolls will going to be moved, and this is done real time, and you can see the strength of the signals which they have taken, and every 5 seconds they have been using, and triangulation, that data is being moved to the cloud. Okay, and then the position of that particular roll and the distance of this scanner is being being watched. And now this way the role is mapped on a warehouse, and this particular entire movement of this roles have been tracked in this particular warehouse. And what is the benefit? So by applying these things, what happened, this they found that when they surveyed, then over 65% of respondents found the excellent improvement in inventory management system in case of ease, efficiency, and accuracy as compared to earlier system. So now you can see, with the help of small devices, if they apply in their small units, they have found that the streamline has a very big benefits have come up. Another use case, I think so, there is some question which is being asked. Ma'am, can we in image processing in medical field? Absolutely, just wait. Yes, library books everywhere. You think of it and it is there. Madam, can you provide how to use available database in online to our research work? I will okay. This thing, for that you can contact me. I will tell you library books, as I discussed with you. These are the different application I'm going to talk about. Just wait. We will going to discuss. There are many areas where people are using in library books. If you can afford and provide these sensors to each and every book. That is also possible. If you are if you want to provide it in IELTS, you can provide it in medical field. So it is nowadays coming up. IoT is very much is there. Image processing and signal processing. Image processing, you know that you are already doing in the deep learning part, and but sensors should be provided. I am not sure that the image processing is a, you know, one area which is a subset. You cannot say it's a complete thing. It's a subset. It's only a part. So you have to tell me that are you using a camera for image processing, or what exactly you want to do. So I'm not clear about image processing this in this one, in this particular question. Okay. And yes, I think so. Can we you guide us how IoT can be used for social recovery systems with blockchain? What will yes, ma'am. Like we have till now, we have not applied blockchain and IoT. So that is not my area. I have not done that yet. And until unless we will not going to apply it, we cannot make like by surety we cannot say this thing. Yes, BLE use case. We can you can get that BLE use case in my book. If you wish to see more on that, I can provide you the details of that use case. I can individually I can provide you all these things. Fine. Okay, second question is related to use case two, that is Internet of Thing and smart metering for better sustainability. Again, nowadays, you know, we are talking about green energy and green thing and electricity everywhere, sustainability. So we are talking about sustainable development goals. So here also IoT has been very, very, you know, influential and providing so much products related to that. So now we know residential sectors or whether it is a manufacturing sector, both are facing a particular challenge of increased prices of the energy, and which is very, very important for our survival. Even increasing ecological awareness, changing consumer behavior towards green manufacturing, energy conservation, and increasingly volatile prices of raw material, all these like crude oil and all these, this is the major problem. And now what how IoT is helping in smart metering, that we will going to discuss. This is the another use case which I wanted to discuss. Now here you can see in the on the right hand side, this is the diagram that what they are doing. So again, it is divided into, you know, two parts. Let us start reading this diagram from the lowermost layer. Okay. So this is the one generalized architecture where you can see there is a, you know, sensors are there and smart energy meters. So these are the two things which we want, because every time we will have energy meters are there, and these are the sensors are also there, and both are connected with the wireless. It can be wired or it can be wireless. So they are connected. Now, as I discussed with you, smart energy meters which are available on the market, it can have a different operational parameters, tampering, power consumption, power cut timing. So we are using, we are not talking about energy meters. I am talking about smart. Why I am saying smart? Because they can actually tell you when was their power cut timing was there, when was this particular phase current was there, what was the, you know, peak timing, maximum peak timing of voltage was there, minimum peak timing. So they are actually all these things they are uh, 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 they are actually capturing all these things. Fine. So now we will move from lowermost layer to the middle layer. Now, what middle layer is doing, we have already seen that it will going to send this collected data to the gateway, and again it will going to transfer it to the local computer or internet, or with the help of Zigbee wireless technology, or there is a Bluetooth. This is the work of middle layer. So lowermost layer will going to sense the data, then we will going to move to the middle layer that will going to collect all these things from the data, and either it will go to the cloud server for the analytics or storage or whatever monitoring we want to do. Or again, you can see over here, these datas are whatever we will going to, you know, capture is going to go to the enterprise energy management software. These are the, you know, big softwares which are being used nowadays, and they are directly connected to ERP, then manufacturing executive systems, then building management system, or MRP1, MRP2, ERP1. So all these things are directly connected to these your software systems. And this is particular, this data from smart metering system is again connected and integrated in this particular supervisory control and data acquisition, which is very popularly known as the SCADA. Okay, so this is another use case where we can these because these things are being used by very big organization. Small things you can see, but very big organization, how they are working, we have to have a industry visit for that, and then only we can see that what kind of softwares and what kind, how they have implemented the devices and how they have used these data. So this is a small architecture I'm trying to show that how these things are connected and what kind of devices they have used and how real time data is being monitored by these devices. So this is the solution which they have used for energy metering, and the once they see that this energy is consumption is very high or low or whatever, they immediately take reactions, or they take decision making on that. Again, you can use see the usage. I wanted to show that nowadays what they are doing, once they have collected all this data related to bill, they are further using this information for demand profiling, and for Delhi region they are doing for different, then there is a Noida region, and then based on that they have divided demand profiling into stratas, customer segmentations they have done. Then they have provided, started doing localized services, predictive analytics is there, system monitoring. Then they have, there is energy cost rebates, tariff. Then they can also see if there is any kind of theft detection is there or not. There also there is no unbilled nowadays, so reducing unbilled energies and all these things they have done with the help of smart metering. Even customer analytics, so even they have reduced the wastage. And so IoT sensor will going to generate from these smart meters, and which will going to help these customers, and find out that if there is any kind of wastages are there or not. And this is even you can tell to the in your local neighborhood also. So these kind of machines are nowadays being used by different organizations. Very important one is the policy, because with the technology there comes the policy making. So these technologies are new, but now the next thing which will going to come up is the policy, that because we are using AI, we are using IoT, we are using so many deep learning, everything now we are under surveillance all the time. So our privacy, our security is now on threat. We are using social media. So next big thing that if you ask me that will come is only policy formulation. There will be a very huge demand that how we will going to use these devices ethically, how we will going to monitor all these things, how this devices will be secure, security, privacy, all these policies have to be made, and the government is responsible for making these policies. And because we are doing so much of analytics, but to what extent we can use this analytic, and to what extent we should do. Because if we are talking about medical health, we can take anything, but that is also will going to be a very dangerous thing. So this is also a very important thing. Once we know all these data, we also need to make some kind of policy formulation related to the usage of these technology. Another, these are the two important use cases, because we have already seen that in the big manufacturing industries we have applied. So I wanted to discuss another applications is IoT in health. You can these images are self explanatory. Now you people are IoT experts, and you aware of these things, that what kind of technologies and devices are being used and how they are moving. This kind of slide is self-explanatory, which is showing you that what is Internet of Health things. You can see that this is a person who this is body area network. Okay. Another one is this home smart home. You can see another application of IoT. You can see that locks nowadays, even speakers, your security cameras, blind, thermostat, lighting, applications, irrigation. So agriculture also is very famous nowadays. IoT and agriculture is very, very famous. So you can make your own home automation system. I have seen very small kids making, with the help of remotes, they are using all these applications. They are controlling their all the devices, whether it is TV, their ACs, their Alexa, everything they are. So even small kids are nowadays very, very smart and making their home automation. So what is the requirement? And the right hand side you can see smart home mobile app is there. Then wireless connections. Then Wi-Fi hotspot is there. This is how we are connected with the internet. And the various devices of the home, we have provided sensors to each and every device, and then it is being monitored, and well, all these devices data is being collected and provided to the internet. So again, this is one area for application of IoT. Yes, one retail. This is I'm just showing this is this very, very retail IoT smart mirrors. You must have also listened how they have made their online customer experience with the help of big Walmarts and all these people. What they are doing with IoT. So this is a very big architecture and the framework where IoT they have used in every aisle. So what exactly they are doing? First, you can say this. No, first step is knowing your customers, understand shopper behavior in store and online to create a 360-degree view of your customers with the help of social media. It can be your survey analytics. You can see video analytics. So all these things, footfall, how much footfall is there, all these things is the first stage of collecting the information. And then in the second stage you can see that real time personalized communication with the shopper is being done. And there we are using the different devices for collecting all the information of their our customers. Then you can see that customer engagement platform is there, mobile engagement. So different platforms by which we can contact our customers. Then shelf space optimization. Previously you must have listened all these theft was going, and then they put on various RFIDs and EPCs on their very customer luxury products. So this is very common in big shops like Walmart or Tesco, and in UK. So what they did, they have with the shelves they have provided with the different kind of RFIDs. Now they have started with the IoT and BLEs. So these are the different now shifting toward the IoT. So self space optimization they are doing. Then they what exactly they are doing with this is they are able to optimize their labor. And then they are doing loyalty analytics. So this is the fourth, and again sorry first one is no, second one is engage, third one is the sell, and fourth one is the service. So these are the services I talked before three. So selling is the personalized mobile coupon. You must have also seen that when you are entering into a mall, and immediately if your Bluetooth is on, so Bluetooth marketing is nothing but the same thing, and immediately you are getting a message that some kind of a discount is going, or some kind of a coupon is coming on your mobile phone. So this kind of promotional offers or smartphones is again a very not new thing. You must people have must also seen that. So all these things they are doing for selling. Then campaign management, loyalty analytics, all these these things they have started. And this is how the mall or the big retail shops are looking like, and then how they are using real time convergence of sensors, analytics, and mobility. So it is an integration of three things. It is not a one thing that we are only doing analytics. We are doing integration of various things. So sensors are also required, then analytics is also required, and then mobility is also required. That how we will going to use this. And again, people are nowadays not using their laptop, they are mostly on the mobile. So everything is going towards the mobile thing. So we have to make that all these things can, how we will going to convert in the mobile frame. This is the another last, I think so, last, second last application which I wanted to share. This is very, very important nowadays. And even those who are making patents, maximum patent is going in this area. Medical care premises and elder homes. So I know 2 3 people who have also done patents in this area only, that how they falling off an elder person. So before they fall, how come a person know that they are they can fall, or before that only we are taking some kind of action. So this medical care premises for this elder home. So again, different sensors. I have already discussed that these different blood pressure sensor, glucose sensor, galvanic skin sensors. Okay, all these sensors. See, body position sensor, ECG sensor, airflow sensor, EMG sensor, blood temperature sensors. So different sensors. They are either all are combined in one device, or it can be a different device. That depends that what kind of device you are opting for. And then these sensors are providing all the data into Arduino or Raspberry, whatever hardware you are using, then sensor controller software that you're using, and lower power circuitry, and then connectivity with the Wi-Fi. And then there are local, IoT gateways. I have already discussed with you. It is then you can access this with the help of mobile also. You can have iPad also, remote access if you want to do. You can have your IoT sensor nodes, different. If you are hospitalized, then they are using in hospitals. This is if you are individual independent, you want to monitor in there, that can be monitored in their iPad or mobile phone. And all these data is streamed directly into the clouds, and with the help of Wi-Fi. And this is the remote hospital or the health care center where IoT is being used. Okay, so this is my last slide, and different various research paper I have not covered. IoT smart mirrors are there. Then how this 3D printers I have not covered, but a few areas where we have written some research papers I have discussed with you. So if you people now have any queries or any discussion we want to do, we can discuss it now. Thank you so much everyone for patient listening.
If you have any questions, you can just unmute your mic and ask the questions and the queries.
Someone, Anil Bisht, ma'am, how to use sensor? First of all, Anil Bisht ji, I'm very impressed that you are asking so many questions. So this is the first question you are asking me. So how to use sensors for real-time temperature collections? I have already discussed this thing in my previous slides also, like in that what kind of sensors we are using, and all these are actually real-time only. So whenever you are using, any sensor, you have to see the company and the product, and what are the capacities of that kind of sensors, and immediately it can be transferred into that cloud. And some kind of Python coding is required for that. So real time also. So my students have done some kind of projects on that, where they have real time monitored soil moisture. They have done, they have also made some garbage waste bin also in that. So real time data collection, that when your data garbage is filled, and now it is a time to get. And Swachh Bharat Abhiyan also IoT helped a lot, and there also people have used some kind of sensors for that. I'm very happy that you people like my presentation. Thank you so much. Any other question if anyone
We can
asks?
take
I'm
two,
very
three
happy.
questions as time permits.
Uh, I know. I have completed it earlier. So if anyone have any
There is a
questions?
question.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Please ask me. Ma'am in
Can you
pink. Yeah.
please suggest some links for APIs over Python, Keras and the TensorFlow?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to share all these things with Vishal sirs. There are like how TensorFlows and APIs are working. I do have all these things with me, so I can share it with you. No problem with that. Yeah. Mm, link APIs. Yeah, is there any simulation tool available for IoT which is best for the research? See, I'm till now I'm not using any simulation. We have practically applied all these things, so I have to search any kind of simulation tool is available or not for that. So we have practically applied all these things in the manufacturing unit. So we are trying to apply in the hospital also. Let's see that how it works. Right.
But can you
Interesting.
please share some?
Absolutely.
Can you please share some project idea, madam,
Project idea I discussed with you. Yes,
for
sir.
BTechs and the MTech students? How there was some question? I think there was some question.
Absolutely, sir. Like garbage, as I discussed with you, garbage detection system. So I think so, garbage detection system, soil moisture system. One of my student has done air quality. Like I think so, anything which is related to sustainability development. If our student will focus on that sustainability development areas, definitely all IoT thing will going to help. So air quality, we can sense, we can check rain moisture when it will going to happen, or planting of the things that is possible. Medical health I have already discussed with you. Home automation is there. Agriculture is one area. All sustainability development goes with these areas. Any project you can give to BTech students. Waste management, elimination, renewable energy, but I'm sure that renewable energy will be very difficult for them to capture. But small sensors like temperature or like 200 300 is not a very costly thing. So if they have Arduino, that SBC, they have one Arduino SBC, and they have a simple temperature monitoring. So LEDs they can make, some small LEDs they can make, garbage system they can make, moisture sensing they can. So these are the small projects for BTech students, and those who are into research, they can go for the medical health. This is one upcoming area, or agriculture. Agriculture is another very upcoming area where people are using IoT. So yes, definitely you are asking a book. So definitely I'm going to talk about my book only. So interesting book is mine only. But yes, definitely more other books also I can suggest. So data security issues related to IoT. There are few research papers which are particularly, working on only this particular data issues, that how, because now companies are devising all these things. So there are, only the port areas when data is actually being transferred from one device to another device. That is the one area where we need security. So people are coming up with few algorithm where they are watching, so I think so you should search some good areas of research papers only rather than coming into a book. I think so research paper will going to be helpful in that area for the security issues. Yes. And yes, blockchain absolutely will, absolutely, sir. IoT and blockchain is again upcoming area, and it can be integrated, and that is going to help you in the security, because blockchain is related to security, and combining these things is very upcoming and disruptive kind of a thing. So that is possible. Yes. Yeah, ma'am, can we use IoT for our class sessions to monitor students? Absolutely. If our college is, allowing us to monitor student with the help of some kind of sensors, and they are, they are,
Uttam sir, please mute the mic.
yeah. So, like for class sessions, as I discussed, that everywhere we need some kind of a sensors. So, if hardware is with you, because this is a good thing also, and this is a bad thing also. That if we have hardware with us, then only we can work in the IoT environment. So, we need some kind of sensors who will going to sense all these things. So if our college or anyone is willing to spend on these things, then definitely this will be very helpful in that our classroom sessions also. Absolutely automatic field watering system. This is I think so many way, even you can plant this in your small your garden also. So this is not a very big thing. Automatic field watering system, you can see in Arduino people have developed various kind of projects on this automatic field watering system. Fire detection system is also people have done, as I discussed, show you temperature and gas monitoring sensor. With the help of that, and Arduino board is there, you will going to apply the and plug and play system is there. We need to provide some kind of coding to send it to the cloud, and then you can use easily. This is not again so these are not very difficult thing. Only thing was required that you should be aware of that these are the sensor, what is the technology behind that, how we will going to join it, what is the. So I am sure that this particular FDP must have helped you in understanding the basic concepts of IoT. So that is there. Yes, of course, BLE Bluetooth. I told you that Bluetooth beacon is something which many manufacturing units and hospitals have already used it. And nowadays, apart from RFID, previously RFID was very a buzzword in the market. Nowadays, it is IoT BLE. So Bluetooth marketing, but yes, again, security is an issue that is there. So but they are using BLE account. So if it is a healthcare industry, then we need to be very cautious while using it BLE. But manufacturing or something, rain moisturing or so, here we don't have any problem using BLE. Okay. So yeah, as I told you that when we are talking about IoT in student, if you are talking about that IoT in student, so in attendance system, but how we will going to sense it? So first we have to put some kind of a sensor on a student. Then only we can sense that a person is present or not. So then only it can come real time. So yes, yeah, I've already discussed all these things that there can be many Bluetooth devices on, and we will going to like integrate. As I discussed, there are heterogeneous objects that we will going to provide, and for each object we need some kind of a sensor. Okay, and then we have to integrate all these devices. So we have to use it in that. I think so.
I have shared the profile of Dr. Loveleen ma'am on the chat window. You can connect with her on the LinkedIn and you can do the offline discussion, and the contact details of madam is available at PPT also. So you can take the email ID or mobile contact number so that you can contact with her offline. And I'm sure you will get the reply within the same day. As normally I don't reply to her same day. Many times it takes time.
I work on real time.
Yes, you works on the real time, and I think you works on the 24/7 mode.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so
Even
much,
once again.
ma'am. Thank you
Thank you.
so much, ma'am, for accepting my request to be part of this FDP. And it was a great and informative session on the IoT, and many participants will have a interaction with you in the offline mode, how
Most
to do
welcome.
the patents and how to use the IoT in the class sensor modes and all other things. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vishal sir and Bharti Vidyapeeth for calling me. And thank you, Director sir, and everyone whosoever was listening to me. And I thank you so much for patient listening. I'm very glad that I was a part of this FTP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Now I'm going to end this meeting and we will meet on tomorrow. Dr. Loveleen madam is also connected with us on the WhatsApp group. You can put up your query there. And I will share the PPT and all other things with you at the end of the program. Thank you. Uttam sir, you can close the meeting, sir.